Welcome to Mystical Messages. I am Hilary Harley, your podcast host. I am a soul guide and astrologer. Mystical Messages is your podcast gateway to discover and learn more about the realm beyond the veil, including all things intuitive, metaphysical, and the healing arts. To learn more about my work or to book a session with me, please visit hilaryharley.com. If you would like to read my monthly forecast, you may find the full written transcript for all astrology episodes on my website. That way, if you hear something and want to re-listen to a forecast or to check a date of a cosmic event, you may find it on the written monthly forecast on hilaryharley.com. Today, I am so delighted to bring you my very special guest, returning the inimitable Kerri Hummingbird, shaman and healer, to help me understand more about our connection with Mother Earth and to share her new work. I believe it's your fifth book, Kerri.
Yes.
Inner Medicine, Becoming One with Mother Earth for the Survival of Humanity. And the release date is Saturday, April 22nd. So welcome, Kerri. Thank you for so much for coming back and joining me.
Oh, I'm delighted to be back. I love having conversations with you, Hilary. As you know, you're just such a badass astrology person, and it's just great to have somebody like that as a friend,
Yes. Yeah, no, our community is growing, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to you, particularly in this very transitional time. I think we're all in flux right now, both those of us who have been on the path for a while and those who are awakening and joining us. So congratulations, huge congratulations to you on your fifth book, Inner Medicine. You're a prolific author and maternal writer and producer. So tell us why this book and why now?
Absolutely. So I knew there was another book coming after Love is Fierce because that was such a big healing book, right? And really deep work. And that came out, I don't know, in 2021. And so I knew there was going to be another book, but I didn't know what it was. And then I just started doing what I was called to do, which was, okay, Kerri, it's time to start teaching the medicine wheel. It's time to start sharing from that context what you've been learning from all. I have had like amazing shamanic teachers, like just incredible teachers, Heather Ashamara, Alberto Villaldo, Jose Stevens and his wife Lena and daughter Anna. I mean, I've had like just tremendously amazing shamanic teachers, that and more. And affiliated with people like Shaman Durek, right? So I'm just surrounded by these people that are just incredible in this field. And so I've absorbed and embodied lots and lots of different teachings and trainings from these various sources. And it was time for me to finally integrate, embody, and go, okay, what am I creating? What am I going to put out there in the world?
Right.
And so over the last, I would say 3 years or so, I've been putting together in a cohesive format this training, and it's working.
The shamanic training.
Yeah, the shamanic mystery school, the medicine wheel training. Because I've done lots of in other kinds of forms, I've done it, but not like explicitly like this is a medicine wheel training. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wait a second, the next book is this. Like, this is the next book. And this is, I think, the point that most teachers get to, right? When you're ready to start actually like getting out in the world with your medicine, it's like, oh, now it's my turn. Okay, this is my teaching. This is what I do. This is what I'm embodied. This is what I've been teaching. This is what I'm going to be teaching. This is my thing. So this is my jam. I finally landed on my jam. Yay! And I was like, yeah, it feels good. It's like, whoa, this is my jam. And like all the astrology supports it, like my purple light goes right through the Andes, it's like, okay.
For sure.
So, I am in the right spot. And I started writing this book, and I knew that it was going to have a section on the south, a section on the west and the east and the north, right? I knew that part was going to be there. But beyond that, I I knew a few sections that were going to be in, but I didn't really know. So it was kind of like most of my other books got started by just opening up to the mystery. Okay, what is this book? And usually I get the title first. So when I heard Inner Medicine, I was like, oh, that makes sense
Hmm.
because I've had this whole lifetime of outer medicine.
Right. Right.
You know,
As most of us do.
going to the expert with a white coat or just like the three little letters in the certificate on the wall. It's like, what's wrong with me? Help me fix me.
Right.
Help me
As
cope with me.
90% of our human fellow humans do.
Yeah, and and spending 2 decades, as you know, we talked about that before, so we don't need to go into that in depth, but like just spending 2 decades on the couch talking about all my problems with big emotion and then creating more of the same through the power of the word and not knowing it. That's why I'm not really a fan of psychotherapy, talk therapy, because it
Yeah.
creates more of the same and you just keep having it happen, without the transmutation part, it just keeps building and snowballing. So, anyway, this book was like basically, I feel like it's like 12 years in the making, or maybe
Wow.
arguably my whole life, right? Because
Right.
arguably my whole life, I mean, I don't know
Yep.
if it was you or somebody else told me about the whole like exploration of my mental channels. They were like, Kerri, like there's gurus that say that if you're going to be a teacher, you've got to spend like a couple of decades just going through your mind.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And
were you the one that told me that? I can't remember, but
no, but that resonates because Carl Jung, who, he's for me the most palatable of the psychotherapy flavors, says you really start living life at 40 because until 40, you're just amassing an education.
on life, a life education.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of life education, life experience, situation, relationally. Yep, for sure.
So it was time to transition into inner medicine because I used to be that person that would ask everybody else what to do, but I wouldn't go inside.
Yep.
And then I would go inside and then I would find an answer and then I would ask everybody else if it was okay. You know,
Validate me, baby.
please validate me and confirm that I'm correct because I don't know if I am. And that crazy label that I got from psychotherapy really, it was a big obstacle to overcome, right? Because it's like
Yep.
I don't trust myself. And
Yep.
so my whole job was to learn how to trust myself, and that's inner medicine. And so, yeah, all these tools to help bring you inside, make a little safe place for you with like kind of forming a box like south, west, north, east, earth below, sun and the moon and the stars above, kind of get everybody else out of your space so you can hear yourself.
Yep.
Yep, that's what it is, really, ultimately, at the simplest expression. And it's asking for help from beyond the bigger self, the bigger space.
Yeah. So, what can readers expect to learn from this? They're learning from your journey and your experience. How can they apply it to their own lives?
Yeah, so this book is structured to integrate some of the ways I did other books. And so this book has lots of story. And so it has a story at the beginning of every section that
Hmm.
brings the reader into a present day circumstance. And so, like, get right with me in that circumstance and feel it and notice it and be with me, like taking my hand through it. And then it goes into the next part, which is like, that's where the teacher part of me comes out and says, okay, this is what this is actually about. This is what is going on here. And
Okay.
so I integrate the teaching and the story so that, you get the body sense of what this is about. You get you've probably had a similar experience. You get that kind of part, but then you go into the teaching, like, what is this really about? And I've been told that it's really helpful actually for the people that reviewed the book.
Oh, perfect. And it comes at a time we're entering Taurus season, and it's no accident. I remember, I think I'm a little bit older than you are, but I remember my first Earth Day, and I'm going to date myself here. I was in kindergarten back in Pennsylvania, and it was a brand new holiday or festival that people were celebrating, and we ran around the schoolyard and picked up trash, and that was our contribution. So it is no accident, and I would love to know the history. I don't know if you know the history of Earth Day and how the 22nd was chosen, because it is the very beginning of Taurus season. And Taurus is the first earth sign of the zodiac, and it's primal, and it reminds us that no farms, no food, you know.
Yeah, well, it's an excellent holiday. Really, it's important. It's a
It's
good
in,
reminder. I mean, every day is actually Earth Day, but
that's true.
just like every day is Mother's Day,
That's
but
true.
it's like the same. Actually, my friend Jennifer Huff knows the people that founded it, and
Really.
was telling me that one day. She's like, "Yeah, I know the people that founded it, and they founded it because we needed to honor the earth. More people needed to wake up to our impact on the earth, and that's why it was founded." I don't know the exact reasoning behind the 22nd, but if they're numerology people, if they're connected with Jennifer Huff, they're probably spiritual. So
Right.
422 is that's a good thing to look up numerology wise, angel number
Well,
wise,
it equals eight,
which is
422,
infinity.
which is infinity, and it's also abundance. And what you plant, you shall grow.
There you go.
What you sow, you shall reap. So it's very, very auspicious in terms of the choice of the date. So the book will be available. Can you pre-order your book?
Yes, you can pre-order it and it'll be released on 422. There will be a print version that will go live pretty much on the day 422. Hopefully not earlier. Amazon does crazy things with print books when you're doing a book release. I would
Putting it
like
out
everything to
there.
come out on the 22nd, please. But if you want an advance copy, you can also reach out to me and get an advance copy if you're, doing it fairly soon. Because I have advance copies because I'm doing book signings. So I was like, how am I going to do book signings without books? So
Exactly.
I have books. But the Earth Day is I was told to do it on Earth Day. It made perfect sense to me. Of course I am, because this book is really about connecting with Mother Earth
Hmm.
and honoring Mother Earth and learning how to do so in a tradition, a more earth connected tradition, indigenous traditions, that all of our ancestors had at some point back in our ancestry had a way of connecting with earth, had a way of tuning into the cycles of earth and being part and
Right.
present with earth consciousness and knowing that we're one with everything. That all of our ancestors figured that out because they didn't have like Western medicine to go into the doctor and get a prescription in 5 minutes. They had to actually
Right.
like solve it using their connection and their relationship with nature and
Right.
learn about the plants and everything like that. So having it on Earth Day is really symbolic of that. It's like a return to ancient wisdom, but for modern times. It's not bringing the past back forward. It's just connecting with the past and then reintegrating it with some modern wisdom, with ancient wisdom, and learning how to do that for yourself. And so,
Yeah.
some of these, it was interesting, Hillary. I had this conversation where I realized everybody, definitely on the North American continent, potentially on South American continent, but definitely North American continent, has been displaced from their homeland.
Yep. That's true.
Even the Native Americans, because they were on the Trail of Tears, displaced from their home, from their place
Yep.
in the continent. So,
Yep.
like, everybody here is displaced. And what we actually need to do now is land.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
need
And
to
ground.
land.
Yep.
Yes. And stop running. Stop running away from the problem, stop running away from the discomfort, stop running away. We have to, and people are trying to run away to the next planet now, right? So, like, stop running, stand and face the issues. And Avatar did a great job of communicating that point, Avatar T, the Way of the Water, where he's
Yep.
like, I'm going to make a stand. It's time to stop running. And they did such a perfect, um, kind of metaphor for what
Yep.
we've been doing. We've been running and running and running away from problems. And it's like, no, 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 no. We need to make
Yeah.
a stand and land now and come together and find solutions.
My guest is the wonderful Kerri Hummingbird, and you may contact her at her website, Kerri, and it's spelled Kerri, hummingbird.com. We're discussing her new book, Inner Medicine, Becoming One with Mother Earth for the Survival of Humanity. no small thing that.
I know. I wrote the title and I was like, is that the title? And I got yes. And I was like, dun, 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 but because I'm kind of a humorous person, so I was like, wow, that's a big title, but I lighten it up, but it is kind of where we're at. I mean, we are, you and I know we've talked a second wave, right? And we
Right.
know that we're here for the evolution of human consciousness and we're here to uplift it and that
Yep.
it's working.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, I really want to drill into that a little bit in terms of integrating old wisdom, ancient wisdom with all of our new modern capabilities, because so often people throw the baby out with the bathwater, which is what I tend to believe has happened with modern medicine. It's like, oh, we have this new modality, science, the science, trial and error, and we're not going to pay attention to the forebears of our elders, the wisdom of our forebears. And so this is not only what your work as a shaman is doing, but astrology is being rediscovered in leaps and bounds as well. And that's ancient. I mean, talk about it goes back to Babylon and you know Persia, and it's been kept alive by the Eastern schools, and now being really discovered in the West. But nothing is more ancient than the sky and the stars and the heavens above. And I'm sure you discuss that in your book in terms of northeast, southwest, and the directional points.
Yeah, I mean the thing that people should really understand is that the experience of tapping into a practice that's probably thousands and thousands. I mean, shamanism is the oldest, like if you want to call it a religion, it's the oldest religion. It's the oldest, predates
Practice.
everything. The
Right.
oldest practice, the oldest way to connect and understand ourselves is shamanism,
Yep.
because it's about connecting with where you are, which is the planet. And so, so it has wisdom. So when you tap into something that's got that much history to it, it comes alive.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a little bit for you to get it to wake up for you, but then when it wakes up, it's awake.
Yep.
It's awake for you. And it's like, selves, please come in and support me and wrap your arms around me. Well, pretty soon you start feeling, I feel like safer. I feel more grounded. My heart's opening. I feel, well, that's the South. Don't discount the invisible force. It's right here. When you call on West and you say, please release all the stuff
Right.
that no longer serves me, and you find yourself letting go of stuff, or stuff just disappears out of your life. It's like, well, bye-bye. You don't need that anymore. Okay, thank you. And you call on North. And when I open sacred space and I call on North and I welcome the ancestors, the room gets full. It
Yeah.
fills up because the ancestors are like, you have been ignoring us for hundreds of years. Stop ignoring us.
Potentially longer.
Yeah, I mean, please, we have been trying to get through to you people, and you have not been listening, and the earth is about ready to tank, so like stop it. And they
Right.
really want everybody to listen. So, welcoming all this support is important. I mean, the ancestors can put some blocks in your way to get you to stumble into them and then finally realize, oh, I think there's somebody trying to communicate with me. It's like, yeah, because they're all watching us. Like, what are you doing? And so, and the medicine people, when you work with a medicine, my goodness, I mean, they're connected with the land, like we were talking about. They're landed. They never left, like the Caro people, one of the few tribes. I mean, there are people around the world, but in Peru, in the Andes Mountains, when the Spaniards came to conquer them, they fled to the mountains because the Spaniards couldn't go up at altitude. So they kept
Right.
their homelands. They've been on their homelands this whole time, connected with their ancestry, connected with the long, rich tradition of connecting with that piece of land in the mountains there. And so their medicine is strong because they're landed.
Right. No, that's very true. And so much of modern society, we're just floating around from, and our minds are governing us. And I'm always reminded by this quotation by Albert Einstein that we've given so much weight and credence to the mind, and we've forgotten the gift, which is our imagination. And imagination comes from when we are rooted and we can play and we can experiment and see what works. And having the mind as the instrument and the tool of the imagination, and instead of modern life and living where we've reversed that, we've put so much emphasis on reasoning. And it's my hope with this new entrance of Pluto, which is the transformer and it has to do with evolution, into the sign of Aquarius, which is genius. And this is where the Age of Enlightenment came, and I'm hoping that beginning in 2024, there's this new Age of Enlightenment that is coming, that is based on imagination and our connection to the earth, and reminding us exactly everything that you're talking about in your book.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is you're speaking of the shift in consciousness that's happening on the planet right now that Richard Rudd talks a lot about in the Gene Keys, which is that you could look at it as very similar to what happened with the Neanderthals being on the planet, and then the Cro-Magnon just like spontaneously evolved, right? It just happened, and it flowered. Here's a new kind of flower, and then they coexisted for a while on the planet, and then the Neanderthals died out. Well, the same is going to be happening here. So
I think it already is.
We have two different realities going on. Everybody who's crossed over to this reality that we're in and we're talking, it goes, yeah, we are in two different realities.
Yeah.
And it has to do with Homo Luminous, and there's different words people are using to describe this. Homo Luminous is the word that Alberto Villoldo uses, one of my teachers, so I use that word. And basically, from my understanding of it, humanity is moving from the reptilian brain, which is all about brain living, period, and reaction, body reaction and brain living, and disconnected heart, right? Because it doesn't have the intelligence. The reptilian brain does not have the intelligence for heart wisdom.
Right.
And so then we move into the limbic brain, and the heart starts waking up. And the emotions start waking up. This is where we've been in our generation. Like the emotions started waking up, and everyone went, put a pill on that. Like, stop feeling that. That's creating some wildness and chaos. Quit that. Quit feeling. And empaths, what's an empath? Somebody that has a mastery in their limbic brain, or is developing mastery with their limbic brain and their emotional system, and their heart's opening. And then that's the only way that you get to the enlightenment brains is through that path.
Right.
Because then you open up the soul, the access to the soul, which is the frontal cortex, the corpus callosum, all that area of the brain. You open up access to soul, and then you're accessing timeless self, which is divine self. And now you have that wisdom. Well, and then you can start integrating what Buddha did, the rainbow body, right? So all of this work shifts you into the rainbow body. That's what it does.
It's so interesting because I'm reminded of the phrase, all roads lead to Rome, because I'm currently running a workshop with an artist friend and colleague of mine, and we're bridging astrology with art, because all creativity stems from the moon, and the moon rules emotion, and the moon is the bridge to the soul. So when you cross or allow yourself to open to your emotions, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like there's this, I don't want to call it a vortex, but it's a portal that you're moving into when you allow yourself to feel and what you do with those feelings.
Women have this, right? Women have, I don't know how many, there's like a statistic, I'm like, let's say at least like 7 times the sensory and emotional receptors as men, right? In your body. It's just a fact of biology. And so a lot of women get emotional, right? Or especially around our period about the moon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we get emotional, right? And then everyone's like, you can't cry at work. You can't be like this. And it's like, well, I can't stop working because of this crazy patriarchal society.
All right.
And so, and I'm a being, and you want me to suppress part of my being and not hold myself through that. That's not okay. I hope that's all changing in the corporate world. But anyway, I'm not in there anymore because I left.
I think many of us did.
Not healthy for me, you know. But the other thing that's happened is over the last thousands of years has sort of been this female bashing thing going on across the planet, right? It is still kind of going on a lot of places. And that when you embody as female, you know, your body has all the ancestral wisdom from like all of our ancestors and all of the experiences. And then you start having some similar experiences, you're just magnetizing it because you have it inside your field. And a lot of women dissociate from their bodies, and our current system lets you do it big time, right? Because it's all based in the mind.
So true.
Yep. This is all mental. Whereas, and this is a system of disempowerment. This is how we've all been disempowered, is by being ashamed of our bodies and thinking it's not okay to have emotions, and we're crazy or bad if we do. And, you know, we need to control it and flatline it and get us and ourselves in a little box. That is disempowerment 101.
Yep.
So when you want to like open back up your access to your power and your inner medicine and your intuition, right, your knowing from your ancestors, and you want to talk to your ancestors in your very bones and get support, you've got to be willing to be crazy in the eyes of the current paradigm.
Yeah. And it's actually your truth is what you're walking. And it's incredibly liberating. So it's when you do move into your emotions, it's so honest and pure and right on. And so go ahead.
And when you do it at first, it's not elegant, right? Like it's super blasty.
Even when you've been doing it for a while, it's not elegant.
It's
raw.
It's messy.
It's very raw. And people, you know, getting comfortable in that chaos of raw is really important.
It is. It's messy and uncomfortable to want everything neat, tidy, pretty. Don't get your pretty shoes dirty. Don't get your pretty little dress dirty. Like stay pretty. And so of not wanting to be messy and not wanting to appear to like not have it all together is part of the conditioning that takes our power away. And it starts in childhood when we're little girls and we have the little shoes and like, don't get your little shoes dirty, and the little dress, don't get your little dress dirty, all of that, right? It starts in childhood, the conditioning about being a woman, being pretty and pleasing. And you're there for the man.
Yep. Yep. The people pleasing. I can't even tell you. I'm sure you deal with a lot of clients that are people pleasing recovering people pleasers.
I am
really challenging. That is certainly so true. To bear in mind each of our need to please, the disease to please, as a dear friend of mine calls it. You know, taking care of our own needs in equal measure to everybody else. It has been such a pleasure to have you on today, Kerri. My guest today has been the inimitable Kerri Hummingbird, and please go on to her site, Kerri, Kerri, Hummingbird, kerrihummingbird.com, to purchase her new book, Inner Medicine, Becoming One with Mother Earth for the Survival of Humanity. It is her 5th book. So it has been just wonderful to chat with you and learn about all that went into this wonderful book. North, east, south, and west, the directions, and your shamanic healing services that you offer. That brings us to the end of this episode of Mystical Messages. To learn more about my work or to book a session with me, please visit hilaryharley.com. If you would like to read my monthly forecast or to check the dates of planetary events and cycles, you may find the full written transcript for all astrology episodes on my website. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening today. Please join me again in 2 weeks when I will bring you my astrology forecast for the month ahead. I wish you many blessings as you journey forward.